Time to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Hope I get away with it. Oh, da doo-dah day.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dan Hollifield, and welcome to Last Man Standing. If you missed tonight's Stupid O'Clock, you missed a good one. So go back and watch that after we're through, or tomorrow, or next week. It's there. It's on YouTube. You can find it. And without further ado, or with much ado about nothing, or with much ado about lots of really good stuff, we've got Joe, Dawn, and Aunt Donna with me tonight, and we are going to. And here comes Rich, sliding in at the last minute.
Safe.
He made it out.
I know, we might have to go to a replay on that.
I don't know. Safe is not what I would classify this show. It's turning into Green Room Light here lately. So
hey, we just follow your lead, Dan.
And just remember the safe word is flower. Just don't say flower.
I thought it was cauliflower. No,
just flower.
No.
Wait, there's a safe word?
I thought it was
kumquat.
Crap. Sphinctum?
Kumquat.
Sphinctorium or
Scissoringtum.
Scissoringtum.
Yeah.
Say the magic word and win $1 million.
I'm going to start using that as a password.
Just leave my sphincter out of this.
In the short time I've been here, I've introduced Scissoringtum and kumquats become a common word.
Oh, we have yet to introduce you to quince, which is a fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be insulting to other folks that I know that are fruity, but
a very tasty fruit.
When it actually finally gets ripe, it takes a while. It's like persimmon.
Once it grows its scissoringtum.
It basically has to wait till after the first frost before it finally stops being bitter, and you can actually make jelly out of it successfully.
Yep, sounded like my friend. I had a homosexual friend named Quincy, went by Quince. That
Yeah,
I don't know
really.
about. I don't know about taste because
And then there's Quincy MD.
A little bit bitter until after the first frost. Yes.
I had to keep explaining to him that I like tacos, not sausage.
Hey, actually, I've never had that experience. All my friends of alternate sexual persuasions really didn't have to explain anything to them. Just as long as I was willing to accept them, they were willing to accept that I was vanilla. So
apparently, because of how I am, I show up on some people's gaydar.
large and in charge.
Well, no, because I've got no problems, going, oh, that is just fabulous. And
Yeah, I believe we all have that little gray area there where there are cultural references that we are prone to
Steal from others.
expound at the drop of a
Gesundheit.
very
No,
nice
it's fine.
hat.
my
Oh,
brother-in-law and I scared our wives because we
The last
will
time
break,
you ever suggest swapping, huh?
we will break into
Dad
that kind
blames us.
of banter and stuff like that, and our wives are like, are they actually hitting on each other? What the hell's going on here? So
No, sorry. Sorry.
Misty is very afraid that I am going to leave her for anything. Although after 18 years, I don't know why, but still, she gets very self-conscious and very worried about stuff. So one day, she didn't realize it was April 1st.
uh-oh.
So I called her and I'm like, honey,
I can just about guess where this is going.
honey, I can't lie to you. I'm completely in love with this cute little brunette, and I'm describing her to a T. And she's freaking out, and I'm like, honey, that would be you. Fast forward a year. Call
Still
her
has
up.
not bought a calendar.
Call her up and do almost the same exact thing. And I said, Michael and I are leaving you and Dusty. We're going to run away to be together. And you could hear the heartbreak on the phone. I felt like such an asshole. I couldn't even laugh.
As well, you should.
I couldn't even laugh in the moment. Years later, now I can laugh. But I couldn't laugh in the moment.
Yeah, but
I'm like,
she's
no,
not in
honey,
the room
it-
right now with a frying pan, so you're safe.
I talk loud,
He's
so
just loud.
she might actually be able to hear me. She is still playing World of Warcraft in the other room. But oh yeah, it was a blast.
Well, from what I've seen of Misty, if you spent 20 minutes with her, there should be no doubt in her mind you were going to be with her forever.
Yeah.
A friend of mine brought over her daughter one time for a girls' afternoon, and her daughter was only like 14 or 15 at the time. And of course, as things go with women, the talk turned to sex. And her daughter informed me that she was gay. I'm like, that's cool. Been with anybody yet? No. Just, well, how do you feel about lesbians? And I'm like, well, I considered it once. And I'm such a lazy person that I have to be straight. Because you know how hard it is to get us women going sometimes. But men, well,
Oh, the right breeze and word.
The word
That
boob, and they're like, yes, ready.
yeah.
A random pattern in the linoleum.
And her mom was laughing. She almost fell off the couch. She was laughing so hard. Because then I would describe, women, you have to do this and this and this. But men, you just have to want sex. And this poor little girl's like,
Men are like, dude,
is she kidding?
you don't even have to get the, you want anything, do. You guys are like, yes, please, yes, please.
Foxworthy said it best. Men are like firework, and women are like a diesel engine.
Got to get it warmed up, and it's going to run for a while.
Yeah.
I keep laughing because the cats are going back and forth chasing each other, so I apologize.
So at one point in time, my middle child decided that she was a lesbian. Misty grew up very Baptist, so Misty was kind of beside herself at that point in time. Misty's grown past that, and she's able to accept that type of stuff now. But she had just and she looked daggers at me because when my middle child announced that, I'm like, oh, thank God. And Misty's like, what? Homosexuality? I'm like, I don't have to worry about her getting pregnant in high school.
My friend is going through that right
This is
now.
a serious consideration.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
But then again, you also have to remember how I met boyfriends at the door. Hi.
I'm Daddy Dick.
My father never did anything like that because my two older brothers took care of it. If I was hiding a date, it wasn't from my father. It was from my older brothers.
Mm.
Oh, the look on my eldest brother's face. The guy I was seeing at the time who became my first fiance and I were coming home, and we happened to come across Dale, and so we stopped and talked. And I said, is Mom and Dad home or at your place? Because they would usually go over to Dale's place on Sunday morning. And he says, well, they're not at my place. How come you don't know if they're home? I'm like, haven't been there since yesterday. And the look he gave my...
Welcome to college.
who
Yes,
said
well.
later, I'm glad we were both in our... Because foreign people, we stop in our vehicles and talk on the road. He's like, I was beginning to think he was coming out of his truck and into mine.
Oh.
I think it was one of the guys from Duck Dynasty, at least it's attributed to him, one of the brothers. He says one of his things that he likes to do is he likes to take a shotgun shell and pitch it so that it hits the intended's face right between the eyes and goes, it's a lot faster after 10 o'clock.
That would...
Thankfully, I didn't have to worry about that with my little sister. If somebody annoyed her, she would just grab them by the shoulders and rip them in half and throw the pieces one at a time over each shoulder. And guys knew that.
But I was taught how to defend myself.
This wasn't defense. This was her being nice.
Well, yeah, but he knew that I knew how to take out guys. But still, there was that.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, there was just that thing that he had to do. I'll be 189 years old, and I will still be baby sister. Which I'm not anymore.
Did
I'm
you
an
have
old-
five?
I'm an
Wait.
older sister now. Oh my.
Oh, yes. Doesn't that make you feel fantastic?
My mind is still blown. I mean, it's been a month now, and my mind is still blown.
Oh, I can imagine.
I will always be baby brother. I tower over my sisters.
Oh, my,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my
I,
sister hates it when I call her my big sister because she's 5'2". I'm 5'9".
I got that
Well,
with
my
my
sisters
I
got
got
mad. I
that
always
with
called
my
them
little brother.
older
He's
sisters.
about 4 inches taller than I am. Uh,
The best was when we went to see the photographer that time, and they asked which one's the youngest. I raised my hand, and the photographer looked at us like, "Oh shit," because I'm taller than my dad and my mom and my sister, and I'm the baby of the family. And he's like, "I have to rethink this."
Yeah, I
Mhm.
towered over everybody as well. My dad only made it up to 6 foot, maybe 6'1". But my mom was about 5'1", and 5'1", maybe 125 pounds, soaking wet with rocks in her pockets. And one of her favorite things when she was still working at the grocery store is I would come in to see her before heading off somewhere because the grocery store was literally right at the exit to the gated community we lived in, that I grew up in. So I'd stop, say hi, see if I could, scam $5-10, whatever, so that we can go see movies and get popcorn and stuff. Back in my day, $10 could get you to see a movie, popcorn, and a drink, sometimes candy, if she was free. Oh, wait.
Careful,
Anyway.
I'm older than you are.
But
Yeah, but how old was Candy?
aren't we all?
Remember when
Um,
$5 could do all that? Anyway,
Oh,
And Candy?
I've heard my mom and dad stories about going to the theater with $1 bill
go to
and
the
get
Nickelodeon.
going and they could get box of popcorn, watch a cartoon, a newsreel, a serial chapter, and the feature. And if they didn't feel like leaving,
Watch it all again.
the usher would not run anybody out of the theater because they knew there wasn't nobody else going to come in.
Well, back then, people would also come in halfway through the movie and then sit to watch, the next
Yeah.
what they
playthrough.
missed. No, I was 5'6" by the time I was in 6th grade. My mother and father were about 5'4", both of them. My favorite thing when Mom would introduce me to new people was to put my arm around her shoulder and go, "I'm her baby."
But I'd stop to visit Mom, and sometimes the drivers would be leaving the load for the grocery store, and my mom was technically the manager type person, so she'd be sitting there talking to the drivers, and she'd wave me over, and she's like, "Let me introduce you to my baby." And so the drivers are looking for people shorter than my mom, and then they would hit my knees. And they'd be like, "How?" I'm like, "I was smaller. I did not come out full size."
That was fun
And
size
your,
at
and
the
your
time.
father thanks you for that.
At
Yeah.
one point in time, I
When
was
he
two
was the baby,
cells.
it wouldn't have mattered.
At one point in time, I was 2 cells.
That would have been
He
about
was
the
looking for
time I
those
made
two
the
cents.
remark that mom fooled around with Paul Bunyan at one time.
There is a running joke that my maternal grandfather, or not grandfather, my maternal grandmother messed around with the Yeti, and that's the reason why I like to sit around outside in like negative 20 degrees weather in a pair of shorts, a pair of Crocs, and this.
And then I'm the mailman's kid.
Oh,
That's my eldest. I'm the milkman's kid.
Well, it actually came out. I go, well, how
That
tall
was
was
the
the
running
mailman?
joke
And
when
Mom
we
goes,
were a
I
kid.
don't know. I actually found a birthday card one year that said "Happy Birthday to a dad." Or to my man. I'm happy to call my dad. And you open up, it says the mailman or the mailman. I'm like, his birthday's in May. I found this card. I was looking for something else. Somebody else was looking at cards, and I just happened to see it, and I bought it in August. I held on to that card until May because I'm like, I have to get it.
Mhm.
Because I asked Mom, how tall was the mailman? She's like, I don't know. He never got out of the car. And
My
then she
mom
realized
would've
what she
said, I
said.
didn't know
I've actually
I
seen
didn't know
that.
he was always laying down.
Well, we lived in the country, so it was a route. So
Mhm.
he had a car.
Mhm.
So yeah, he never got out of the car. And then she realized what she said and went, I know, I didn't mean it. I'm like, yeah,
Mhm. Now we know.
Uh-huh. So that's become the ongoing joke, but it is what it is. My parents are the parents you play Cards Against Humanity with. There's not much that's off limits with them.
Apparently, I'm in my eldest sister's good graces again.
Oh, how did you manage that?
I don't know,
Still
but I'm
working
trying
on
to figure
that.
out how to get out of it again. I love my sister, but she cannot dismount a phone call to save her life.
She cannot what?
Dismount a phone call to save her life.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I've seen too many of those movies.
No, not that kind of. No, there's no mounting in that kind of.
You haven't seen the same movies I've seen.
Yes, I have, but I'm talking about my sister here. Hey, that ain't happening. No. Anyways,
That gives a whole nother meaning to reverse cowgirl.
what's supposed to be a 2-minute phone call becomes the 2-hour and 45-minute phone call,
Yeah.
and then her cell phone drops, and you're like, "Oh, thank God!" And then she calls back. I love my sister.
Sorry,
I
went
do.
under a bridge.
I love her to death, and sometimes I'm willing to strangle her to prove it.
Did somebody get in trouble for saying that on Facebook not long ago? One of our group of friends.
Yeah, apparently Nick tried to put that, and they took it the wrong way.
As they frequently do. As if there were a right way to take it.
That's my fault. I'm the one that provided him with that nugget.
Well, when you create a meme, you naturally take pride in it and you want to spread it around.
Mhm.
And then it becomes a social disease.
And yet, so far, nobody's tapped me on the shoulder with some of the stuff I've posted.
I'm a perfect angel.
I'm sorry.
Well, perfect I will grant you, but we'll talk about the other status later.
Okay, I post perfect angelic things.
Yeah, I've seen what you posted on Michaela's pages.
That's D, not Dawn.
Fallen angel, maybe.
Yeah, there's the dissociative personality disorder.
Poor Ryan got a little confused on the whole D Dawn thing there for a minute. That makes it even funnier that this came up.
Well,
my Dawn.
I love it, but it's kind of easy to confuse Ryan.
Yeah, all you got to do is interrupt him, basically. and we hey, Stupid O'Clock, we managed to interrupt him with eye-opening, for him, eye-opening things on several occasions tonight. And he's just going, I thought I was going to be the star of the show. Now I'm just another guest.
I just popped in like when I'm supposed to.
Oh, supposed to. Who set you a limit? You can.
No, I know. No. I know. It was a joke, Dan. That I popped in at the time I'm supposed to.
It's
Not
almost the end of the showtime. Yes.
right. That's why I didn't say much because there was still people awake in the house. That's just why I didn't say much. But I'm like, oh, I have to pop in because if I don't, everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, is she okay? That my Rich.
That's tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michaela and I had dinner tonight.
Now, when you
Ha
popped in, did you at least use lube, or
Who was
Yeah,
holding
no,
that
you
damn
were there.
sign? You were there. Okay.
Happy International Women's Day?
I don't know if I could buy enough batteries for this show.
Get a USB cord. Charging is much easier.
Oh, gonna need a Harley Davidson with an alternator.
So did you eat at Busy Quarters?
No, we didn't. We ate at Corey's.
Oh.
Very good conversation.
I am still tempted to go back to, if not that particular taco stand, which is my favorite because I know everybody that's been working there since the 70s. Go to one which actually has a larger parking lot. I want my burrito.
Dan,
Yes, dear.
that's not the green room. That's totally green room speak.
What?
You've been going to the same taco place since the 70s, but you want one with a bigger parking lot or something? Yeah.
No.
Oh, you know
I will
what?
have to go to one of the other store locations that has a bigger parking lot because if they're going to
Go
have a
ahead.
delivery truck taking up all of the parking spaces, I have to go elsewhere because there's no place for me to park to go in the restaurant.
I'm going to wake everybody up in this house.
Now, Dan, you know
Right,
if there's a wrong way to take that, don't hire that way.
Y'all keep this up. I'm going to start quoting Frank Zappa lyrics at you. Oh, no, not that one.
No.
Not that one. Not that one. No, not that one. No. And not that
Oh,
one
that's
either.
right.
How
You're
many
usually
Catholic
not allowed to
schoolgirls
go in
do
the
we
back door of the taco place.
And if it's after
Or how
Taco
spicy
Bell,
that
you
meat
definitely
is.
want to go to the back door.
Well, unless
He's
you're
got
into that
$50
kind of
million
thing, I mean-
in his heavenly bank account.
Dan, you opened this door wide open.
I'm good at that, honey.
Yes,
Haven't you
he
heard?
is.
Especially when it's the taco stand, right?
Of course, you open it
Hey.
wide open. There's not enough parking space.
Especially when a delivery truck is there.
But here's the thing.
Hey, when I'm going to park, I'm going to be there for a while.
So you're not like a firework.
Do you really want the delivery truck to just park, or should it be pulling in, pulling out, pulling in, pulling out?
If they're out of my way, I don't care.
And in the winter, it gets a little slippery, huh?
I'm willing to share the parking space.
Joe,
What is she?
we're dying, and Joe's just like, whatever.
Here's your sign.
No, there's just so many things that are running through my head. Like, it gets slippery in the wintertime. Well, that's what chains are for.
Whips and chains?
And hand grenades.
No,
Hey,
I had to go to Jacques. I had to
You
go to
gotta go
Jacques.
fishing sometimes.
I thought
I
that
had
was
to go
called
to
ribs.
Jacques. Had to go to Jacques.
I'll just sit here and come in with my little one-liners like usual.
But we were all dying, and you were just like, whatever.
He's just waiting for a break in the conversation so he can.
Slip it in.
He's waiting for a break in laughter for either Dan or I to try to take a drink of a beverage so he can zip something out and damn
Would
near
I
kill us.
do that to you, Rich?
Yes.
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 Without an instant's hesitation.
And just for that,
You think that makes you safe? You can still hear me.
yes. But you
And
don't
this-
know the exact moment the thermos is in. Okay, that's going bad. I'm
Yeah.
stopping.
When his mouth is.
He caught
Firmly
himself
wrapped
just
around
in
it.
time.
No, I was still, 3/4 the way over the precipice.
That's what she said.
In flagrante delicto, yes.
I didn't even try that time.
Damn, that's the best Latin I've ever come out with.
That's what she said.
And
Hey.
besides, if I was to just slip it in, no one would notice anyway. But
That's not what she
That's
said.
not what Nick says.
Oh dear. It's a good thing I don't even want to get monetized. Oh, and by the way, like, click, and subscribe if you are enjoying this particular bout of insanity.
And
This
don't
is what I was up to
share.
during Ryan Permission's speeches.
Nice mountains.
That's what he said.
Yes, my wife does have. You weren't talking about this.
oh, Dawn
Why am I reminded of young Frankenstein at this instant?
from Luca.
My wife is 5'2" standing up and 6'3" laying down. If she, hey, watch this. This is the episode.
This is the
Watch.
episode she watches.
This is the episode she starts watching, and then yeah. So
Oh,
if
no,
I go
no,
between and she has new cookware. You know what?
no, not
She's
at
gonna
all.
need new pans now.
My
Like I said,
mom,
I
my
go
mom
missing and she's got
actually
no
has
cookware.
access to YouTube now. So I am
Oh.
waiting for the day when she goes ahead and does a search.
Daniel L., what did you do?
Oh, it wouldn't stop there.
That's what she said.
Thankfully, I've never known my mother in such a fashion. So
Yeah, you were saying,
Not
Joe.
what you said last night.
The issue I was having with the YouTube feeds on the NDCD site,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I figured it out.
Cool.
Google
Knew you
screwing
would.
shit up.
Google?
Yep.
Oh, damn them.
situation normal.
Mhm.
So we're streaming
Sure.
again?
Oh, was that that photo what you were looking for?
Oh yes, yes. And I still need to create your page. I
It's
should have
fine.
done that during Behind the Code the other night, and then I just got stuck on that whole YouTube not wanting to show up right on people's pages. And
Did you
And,
update your
And
comment
I
on
haven't
Pop's
found
page?
what
or-
I'm looking for, right, Joe?
I haven't updated it yet because I literally just fixed it as we started
Oh.
this show.
No.
Ah.
Okay. I didn't tell that.
And I think
On
it's
that
taking
note,
a little
I'm
bit-
going to need another beer. Ah,
Just
I think
one.
it's taking a little bit for some of the
Well,
pages to actually update.
considering I'm having to deal with there goes my accent. You're lucky
Yeah.
the industrial language has not come out yet. That's going to be tomorrow night. When we're
I
not
think
In the
I'm gonna
green
try to
room.
speak in a southern cursive accent.
Well, bless your
Exactly.
heart.
No, that's kind of mild. That's trying to disguise things. I have a great deal of trouble not speaking plainly at times. It's going to be well, as one lady said, it'll be the death of you. And I go, what? Your husband coming home early?
Depends on where your pants are.
And never forget your
Out the
watch.
window with me, I hope. I'm worried about my shoes. That was entirely freeform. I'm sorry. I've spent entirely too much time watching George Carlin during my life.
All I could think about though when you said that was because he's gonna look at him and go, "Man, when did I start wearing size 14s?"
That's what was going through my mind too.
Someone knows entirely too much about my clothing sizes.
I talk. You know I talk.
I fantasize. You know, I fantasize. No.
I can imagine the dinner conversation with Michaela today.
Probably.
You know, I never for once thought when I was growing up that I would be the topic of conversation between two ladies. And then I found out one lady that I was dating was writing statistics on the stall walls in the ladies' room. And I was getting a lot of unexpected smiles from the other ladies. And
You don't want to know the answer to that question, Chris.
What was the question? I missed.
What in the world did he stumble across?
Us.
Size
You
14
stumbled across.
shoes.
I'm not sure, but it hurt.
Ignorance is bliss sometimes.
Wipe your feet. Seriously. Not there.
Oh Lord.
I'm saying innocent things, but they keep coming out.
Sure.
Dawndified. Dawndified. That's I've come up with a new word. They stuff that comes out innocent, but it isn't. So it's dawndified because that's me.
I'm actually going to take off because it's finally cooling down in this house. The basement's starting to feel a little more back to normal, and
What'd
I
you
have
do?
a concrete pour tomorrow.
So, hey, check into getting another hose so you can give the air conditioner duct work, or not duct work, the radiator
the fins,
thing.
yeah.
The fins, they from what you said about the air conditioner not working, let's hope that it's just dust on the fins. Otherwise, you're in for a new
Could be
compressor or
cottonseed
something.
too, from the cottonwood and stuff like that. Especially in that area.
Oh, yeah. I wash it off
need
about
to-
every 3 days when the cottonwood's flying.
Yeah.
Because it literally looks like snow flurries outside my window.
And Dawn is biting her lip.
I wish Pops was still alive. My dad, Pops Van Zandt. Pops Van Zandt is fine, people. Anyone who I called my dad Pops. But he would know exactly what there is a super concentrated spray that they use that did a wonderful job that damn near melted all that gunk out of the fins before you even applied the water.
Oh, and yeah, because your dad he was working his whole life in HIVAC, so
most of my life in HVAC. But I'll try to reach out to my cousin Pete to see if you can remember what that stuff was called, because my cousin Pete's dad is the one that owned the business. So, and my dad taught Pete everything he knew, and Uncle Ron taught my dad everything. Well, taught my dad everything Uncle Ron knew, and then my dad expounded as Uncle Ron concentrated on the business end and other stuff. So,
yeah, well, with Joe's luck, it'll come up from all the searches as being something called goop, which has several different meanings. One of which is a hand cleanser.
Very good hand cleanser.
Easy,
Yeah.
Dawn.
I didn't say anything that time.
No,
You
so
know-
look over the
Oh,
glasses. and you brought them
you're
down.
thinking about Spizzerinctums.
I don't think that's what she was thinking of.
Well,
I
according
can't-
to the Urban Dictionary definition that Joe looked up as Spizzerinctum, goop would apply.
This is true.
Goop gets applied a lot of places. I mean, seriously.
Especially in a diesel engine.
Hope to see you tomorrow night, Joe.
Yep. On
night,
that
Joe.
note, folks.
Good night, little brother.
Guys.
Good night, Joe. Oh,
And Chris, as for context being important,
Sometimes
can we
Depends
you
on what
say-
your Spencer Rickham says.
Chris, I'll remind you of the first rule of Italian sports car driving. You rip off the rearview mirror and throw it into the road and going, what's behind you is not important.
I thought you needed that thing so that you can aim the oil slick properly.
That's a different Italian car.
They kid Jimmy Pond.
Ooh. Actually, in the first appearance of James Bond in a filmed episode, they did call him Jimmy, but he was working for the CIA instead of British Secret Service. And that was done in I think it was a Playhouse theater. And he was an American actor at the time. It was a adaptation of Casino Royale.
Casino Royale seems to be the place that Bond usually starts.
Well, yeah, and actually, I've got a fondness for the one that is really weird, Casino Royale. I mean,
with Niven.
with David Niven.
Yeah, that is one wild ride. That one is.
Yeah, and basically, the reason that turned out that way, they gave parts of scripts to 4 or 5 different directors who did not have a clue what was going on, and then they spliced it all together in one 1960s acid trip of a movie. And it's fun. It has nothing to do with the James Bond that you would know from the actual spy movies, but entirely entertaining. Especially the bits that sometimes the people are laughing so hard they don't get the next line, which is even funnier than the one that they're laughing at.
I never even connected the two. Somebody had to point it out to me. That was a James Bond movie. I'm like, well, it had the same name character, but oh no. Okay.
Yeah, it was actually from an Ian Fleming novel. It was just through the 1960s
genre
avant-garde film lens, or several lenses, as it turned out, since they turned it over to several different filmmakers and then spliced it all together, as I said.
Well, yeah, I had all the James Bond novels. It just, I thought it just was coincidence that it had the same name and character in it. And like, really?
Well, it's really weird when you find out that Ian Fleming also wrote the 2 Chitty Chitty Bang Bang novels. Especially when you realize the movie that was made used bits and pieces of both books, and it's much easier to find the first book, which has little to do with the movie, than the second book, which has a lot to do with the movie.
I have the book, but I think the book that I have is based totally on the movie.
Uh-huh. There are a couple of different versions of that. One's a Scholastic books. One's a little big book for those book collectors out there that actually know what I'm talking about. Those things were basically a page of text and a cartoon, page of
Hmm.
text and a cartoon, and it followed the movie all the way through. Um,
What would become a photo album in the late 70s?
Something like that, yeah. Only it was hand drawn rather
Hmm.
than photos,
Then a
yeah.
photo, yeah.
Um, but the okay. Ted sent me one. It is a Buck Rogers, actually. I will show you what a little big book looked like if I can get the one of
Oh,
my
you,
spare hats out of the way. Um,
oh, you mean like the ones I have down in my library?
yes, well, the studio audience does not have access to your library, a fact which you constantly remind us that you are thankful for. But
Yes.
this is about the size of a little big book,
Hmm.
and this is one of the big Buck Rogers ones. My dad collected these when he was a child and absolutely loved them. It was, and some of them were um, not only referencing 1920s and 30s movie serials, but classic literature as well.
Hmm.
Because they had a huge, okay, you had this huge access to literature that you wanted to rewrite in a child friendly form. And you had to go somewhere halfway between a written book
And a
and a
picture
comic
book.
strip. And that's pretty much what life in the 30s was like. Um, it seems that people always underestimate the intelligence of children. So they gear things down further than absolutely necessary.
Hmm.
But then again, in some places, the art of scholastic education is not caught up to what the children are actually capable of learning. Uh, I remember people being surprised that I was not even in school yet and I was reading Paradise Lost. I'm going, well, my parents have it on the bookshelf. I'm bored. Milton puts me to sleep, but I'm 5. Doesn't matter what my nap time is. Um,
I just want to point out something.
mhm.
Joe left, and we all calmed down.
But he wasn't saying anything while he was here, so that makes it even stranger.
I don't remember having calmed down in the
Still,
last 50 years. Um,
but
Well,
but
compared to
but
how we were 30 seconds or
compared to how we were the first 30 minutes, we're not making so many innuendos and such.
oh, they'll there
Well,
yet, I'm sure.
Well,
Dan's
I'm
also
sure,
no,
but
Dan's no longer talking about trying to pull into the parking spaces at the taco place.
But as you guys were talking, I was sitting here thinking, how can I throw Cherry Wood into this conversation?
mhm. Innuendo and out through the back door. Yes.
Out the back door. Hmm.
Haven't received an invitation yet.
I didn't know I had to invite you. I thought my invite was out there a long time ago.
Oh, are you going to RSVP?
No,
I'm so
no.
glad Lindsay doesn't watch this. She would so kill me when we meet next October.
She'd probably kill Dan, too.
She's got nothing to worry about because she knows I'm pretty much constitutionally unable to philander.
Yes, but that often does not keep a woman from taking on the quote other woman.
Mm. Takeoffs and put-ons.
Okay.
Yes, I'm quoting
Oh.
George Carlin again. No, she got the perfect illustration that I'm not constitutionally able to fool around before we ever got together because we'd known each other through the chat rooms for.
Do you love how he's taking this so seriously?
I know.
Oh yeah, it is serious.
Now, my comments. I love you, dude. Poke,
I'm
poke,
forever grateful. God knows what my life would be like if I ever got on your bedside.
poke.
Duck. Fast.
Duck, run, move to
Duck
China.
and run.
Let's just say there's not many standing who ever did.
Nope.
I'm sitting.
And sitting prettily, yes. Damn,
Not
that was
really.
upper English. This is too late in the night to be using that shit.
Yeah, it's too late in the night for anything to be proper.
And that's why we're here.
Exactly.
We'll work on that.
Being improper? Well, I don't have to work at that. That comes easy.
But I don't know if you noticed this, I'm proper all the time.
Properly spoiled.
I'm the spoiled one.
I was going to say she's spoiled.
I have a doctor's diagnosis that I am spoiled.
Yeah, but
So
you're married
it's
to that
official.
particular doctor.
No. I mean a real doctor.
Oh, Carl's gonna watch this tomorrow. You know that. Or
he
maybe
knows the story.
maybe Saturday. I don't know.
I wonder what kind of diagnosis I could get out of him. No. I'm just broken.
No, when I had my hernia operation, my doctor had done some stuff for my mom, and he's the one who took care of both my lumpectomies. So he knew that all our bedrooms are on the second floor. So he told me, he says, when you go home, stay on the first floor the first night, but try to go upstairs the next night. So when I went back in a week, he asked me, how long did it take you to go to get to your bedroom? And I said, oh, I was upstairs by the second night. And he says, that's good. And how long before you came downstairs again? And I said, today. And he looked at me and he says, well, how did you get your meals? I said, my husband brought them to me. Lunch too? Yeah. Doesn't he work? Well, yeah, but here in town so he could come home. And he's doesn't have a bedside manner. This man is not
Carl or
known
the doctor?
the doctor.
Okay.
He is not known for smiling. He's a very stern doctor. And he looked at me a while and he actually smiled. And I remember that the nurse stared at him because he was smiling. And he goes, I officially diagnosed you as spoiled. And I said, yeah.
Bink.
So, see, I have an official diagnosis. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Speaking of spoiled,
It's been a while, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I've been really busy with stuff the past few weeks, so
Gonna
I'm
get
trying to
him
catch
busy.
in and catch y'all and comment, but I haven't been able to join up until now. So
and Donna, I do apologize for my evil laugh. You've made me think of what Carl's bedside manner would have been. And knowing Carl,
Actually, when he was a counselor before he became an IT for the state,
I was thinking more of a husband, but
he was famous for making making the clients cry.
I can see that.
But yeah, as
well,
a
it's
husband,
very therapeutic.
let me put it this way: there are several ladies who would gladly welcome my demise so they could be the next Mrs. Witzman.
Don't encourage them,
We went
and don't piss them off either.
Peoria ORS office changed buildings. They were down by the waterfront, and then they went downtown. And I used to go with him when he go to various.
excuse me.
Gesundheit.
Bless you.
Thank you.
And this one little gal, a redhead, when I walked into the new office, she's like, "Oh, hi!" And she comes up and gives me this big hug, and I'm like, okay." And Carl told me later, I was watching, there wasn't a knife in her hand. And part of the office is in the basement. Do not let her give you a tour. Like, okay.
She
'Cause
wasn't
she was-
being affectionate. She was just measuring you for the hole she's going to have to dig.
She was bound and determined she's going to be the next Mrs. Witzman.
Wow.
It was so
Hey.
dark. There were so many.
Yeah.
Applicants are standing by. If I can get a giggle out of Dawn, I think I've done a good deed. Or, well, maybe not a good deed, but
Yeah.
What about the evil laugh? I went from a giggle to an evil laugh.
Oh, that's the best kind of laugh.
You got her amused,
Oh,
among other things.
I don't mind if she laughs as long as she's not pointing.
Better have her
I
laughing.
gotta figure
and
out what I'm
glaring.
pointing at.
Better to have her laughing than glaring.
True.
Why? I don't get that angry that often.
I didn't say you did. I was
There's
just
always that
making
once.
a point.
Hmm.
Just making a point.
Well, that's like a lot of people will not believe. Carl and I don't argue. For one thing, he's a frickin' psychologist, so he's got to do all that psychology shit. We've only had 2 arguments, and that was way early. That was in like the first couple of months we were together, and both of them were started by his mother.
Oh.
So then when I figured out he kind of had the same opinion of her that I had, everything was copacetic after that.
Yeah, well.
Things like Ted and I, we don't fight very often. We disagree. We don't, always, but we don't fight. And people are like, well, you don't get mad about that? I'm like, I pick and choose what to get mad about. I don't just get mad out of every little thing.
Yeah.
I only get mad when I'm not at home.
Yeah.
And that way, it's out of my system by the time I get home.
Yeah.
Because
Carl,
I'm a man, I'm automatically wrong no matter what I do. So
when he was still a counselor, Carl had this secretary. Excuse me.
executive assistant.
Thank you. Yes. They were only secretaries on Secretary's Day,
Mhm.
so they could get stuff. But anyway, he would come home
I'm not touching that line with a 10-foot pole.
Mhm.
and he'd go in and play Wolfenstein.
Mein Leben.
And I would hear that da 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 of the BFM, BFG, big
BFG.
gun.
Big
Yeah,
gun.
Yep.
yeah. And I'd hear, take that, and then her name.
Even psychologists need therapy sometimes.
Yep.
They're like, well, at least you're not the kind of husband that comes home and takes it out on me or the cats. Video games probably would help a lot more marriages if people would do that. They'd get mad and go on their shooting games and
That is where I get out a lot of my aggression.
Well, the funny thing is, it depends on the females because there are some females that are jealous of the video games. There are others that are like, oh, I'd rather him be playing video games than playing with someone else.
Or watching
Well,
There's
them.
some that don't care one way or the other.
Yeah.
and then Chris, there's at that time both our computers was in the same bedroom that we'd made into an office, and we'd both be playing Wolfenstein. So there's that. I still can't get him to play World of Warcraft though.
That is a beautiful game, parts of it, when they did. When they
Oh,
started having those weird plants, though, it started getting really. Mist of Pandaria was the last one I really played.
Damn. Now I wonder if any of the games that I have on CD
Dragonflight's really good.
actually
Yeah.
work on the new computer. I'd have to
I like
reinstall.
Mist of Pandaria. I just didn't have anybody to play because the people I used to play with had all moved on.
yeah, it's the way it is in most of my guilds. But I have 28 tunes, so
Well,
Misty has 50.
I don't feel so bad. Next time Carl
Good
makes fun of me, I'm
grief.
going to bring that up.
She gets so stressed for frickin'
Dark Moon Fair.
Dark Moon Fair. I've got it. No, you don't. You can do just a couple, but I got it. No,
You got to go
you
through
don't.
all of them.
hmm
You can do, 10 this month, 10 next month, 10. You don't have to do it right this second. But I have to. No,
You don't have to do the entire game in one sitting.
But when you get almost 10,000 experience points to one profession and there's 5 of them, that's a very easy leveling.
Well, It got hard for me to play because I started having family members die left and right.
Yeah.
And then I would get back into it for a little while, and then I'd have more crap
See
happen.
this is my little Dark Moon Fair thing.
Yep.
I've got all my little tunes, and then I just go by and down each first of the month. Each one of them gets to go to the fair, get their little points.
And then Misty was freaking out this last week for Noble Garden.
I didn't even do that this year. My evokers need to do that, but maybe next year.
Oh God, I can just see the evokers running around with the little bunny ears on.
Gesundheit.
So yeah, Gesundheit.
I was cleaning off my keyboard. It's messed up.
I was laughing at the cats that I got gesundheits earlier, and you're cleaning up the keyboard to get gesundheits. We all sound like we're sneezing.
I cleaned off my keyboard earlier too. Different kind of keyboard.
I want a
Last time you got
keyboard
that
like
keyboard.
I want a keyboard like Michaela Jade's.
Oh, the
So
colory one.
Mm-hmm. But what gets me with the World of Warcraft, I love that we can now fly in Kalimdor and the Eastern Kingdoms. Because there is so
Makes
much
leveling so fast.
Well, not only that, there is so much scenery that is best seen from the air. You can't see it from the ground. And you're like, they put in all that time and effort
That
for something
landing
you couldn't.
strip. Yeah, that landing strip over by Ironforge that you couldn't get to until you could start flying, unless you glitched.
Yep.
And I always loved glitching my way up there and just hanging out up there. I like the way that they did. It's not true flying; it's the dragon flying in Dragonflight, and you can talk to somebody so that you can turn friends into a little dragon pet thing that follows you around when you fly, so that you can two-person fly people around who haven't unlocked flying yet.
Now
Or when you got people who have no sense of direction,
Oh, yeah.
who cannot follow you to save their fucking life.
that sounds like some frustrated gameplay.
That's why there's that
Little
little follow
connections.
thing. You click on them and hit follow, and then you just sit back and let them go.
My wife has such a bad sense of direction. She ended up in 3 different states trying to get 3 towns over. So we're in Northwest Indiana. We are a stone's throw from the Michigan border. We're not too horribly far from the Illinois border. I actually work in Chicago. Technically, the office I work for is in Chicago because technically I work from LaPorte most of the time anymore. Anyways, I digress. So she ended up going north and east instead of west. So she ended up in Michigan. So she crossed the state line. Then she had to cross the state line to come back. Then she shot past the town she was supposed to go to, drove through the town on the expressway, went into Illinois, almost up to Wisconsin before realizing I should have been there by now.
Mm-hmm.
Turned around and had to come back. So yeah, this is before we were dating actually. But she was coming to gaming, which is where I was at, which is why I know the story. But yeah, she has no sense of direction to save her life.
One of my
I've only done that twice. The first time I've taken my best friend from high school and her daughter to Santa Claus, Indiana, and I made the mistake of letting Paula navigate, and we ended up in Kentucky, and then and not on the regular highways. So I ended up going back through the country to find my way to Santa Claus. The
wow.
other time, I had two friends at the florist that I worked at, and one of them went to college in DeKalb, and we'd been up there before to visit her, but we were growing up, and it had been a stressful week. There might have been some bottles and James involved, but we were bitching about our boss, who waited till the last minute to tell us we could go on Friday night instead of going Saturday. And I'm driving, and suddenly, in unison, we both went, "Welcome to Wisconsin." In my defense, though, because I didn't take a map that time, because we'd been there before, and I'm usually really good. In my defense, when we went from DeKalb to Chicago the next day, I noticed as we crossed the state route that we came up on that the sign that said to DeKalb had been knocked over. So I did not have that notification.
And reference point.
Yes, so that's how I drove by that. Otherwise, I am an excellent when it comes to driving somewhere. You were going to say, Chris?
It was your Viking heritage.
Forward. We'll get there eventually.
I drove from Illinois to Homosassa Springs, Florida. Never been there before in my life. And only had an address from my parents' trailer down there. Got into Homosassa, stopped at a gas station. Okay, I have this address. Where is it? The guy takes out the map. And I was only like 5 miles away from where mom and dad lived.
Well, I have a saying in Georgia. All roads lead to 41 eventually. Because there's like, I don't know how many exits off Interstate 75. That's U.S. Highway 41.
All roads lead to Peachtree something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's Atlanta. Doesn't matter what road you're on. Eventually, you're going to be on some road named Peachtree.
Peachtree. Oh,
Could be a street, could be an avenue, could be a boulevard, could be
a drive or
any combination of anything.
lane.
Oh, when I worked at the florist during the holidays, I was the one in charge of the FTDs and telefloors. I would cringe when somebody took an order for Atlanta and only had Peachtree. And I'm like,
Oh, God.
there's got to be more to this because I got to know which Peachtree to send it to.
Yeah, I used to drive to Atlanta on the Friday nights that our second shift ended. We would go in a convoy of cars and go watch Rocky Horror Picture Show at a movie theater on Peachtree Street. Now, from 90 miles away, all streets look like Peachtree till you get there. And then you had to find parking. Then you had to walk in the middle of the night up through this residential neighborhood till you got to the theater. and watch the movie, and then you had to pray sincerely that your car had not been towed because it was in a residential neighborhood, although it was the middle of the night. And hopefully nobody was waiting to notice that you were in somebody else's parking space. And I hated it so much when that particular theater lost the license to keep showing Rocky Horror. That was a tradition. That was a pretty much a staple. About, I'd say, see, trying to figure out the schedules. About once a month, we would have the opportunity to do that, and it'd be just people I work with that some of them didn't even know what Rocky Horror was. Others of us had the entire soundtrack memorized. Others of us invented new phrases to shout at the screen. Um, and then somebody brought a copy to the University of Georgia, which is, right next door. Went up there in not a Rocky Horror costume, but a costume. And people were just going, "Oh, you're dressed up to see the movie? That's so fantastic. Which character are you?" And I go, "None of them. This is just me. I always dress like this. Top hat, cane, full circle cloak, tattoo on one hand. This is the way I walk around town." No, the way I walked around town was in army surplus clothes with a hand-and-a-half bastard broadsword strapped to my backpack. That had my college textbooks in it. Cops didn't give me any trouble whatsoever. I did get some strange looks, but that didn't bother me at all. Those
Yeah,
those were good years.
the actual Peachtree Street is the highest point in the city of Atlanta. It's kind of like the spine of the city. Everything kind of goes down after.
From the natural incense of the area, I would say highest point's a good.
Definitely some high points of interest.
I see your Coca-Cola, Chris, and I raise you royal crown.
Oh, nice. I do have some RC, but it is in a 2-liter bottle, and I'm not going to drink one of those in one sitting.
Hey, it's my
Yeah,
kitty.
Jimmy!
Hey. Oh, okay.
It's our favorite Dutchman.
I thought
What?
I didn't hear the dink, so
What'd you call me?
for a second there I thought he joined the room so we could bring him on, but no, he's in the comments. So good
Ding
morning,
you,
Mike.
bitch. Hi, Mike.
And it's starting over there.
Oh, don't send me that kind of email this time of
See,
night.
688 over there.
I'm not sending emails.
I'm not doing that.
No, you're not. I mean, it was so dark. There were so many.
Of course, Mike. We're always glad to wait for you.
Yeah,
Oh, well, yeah, definitely.
yeah,
I
hop
mean,
in
it's
for a
not
few
like we're in
minutes.
a hurry. We still got another 45 minutes or thereabouts.
He's probably gonna make
40
his
minutes at
coffee.
least. Hey, yeah, coffee. I can understand that.
Yep, caffeine is a wondrous thing.
Without it, there would have been no industrial revolution.
Probably not a lot of things.
Well, when you consider that the Industrial Revolution started in a country that comes to a screeching halt at 4 p.m. for their afternoon cuppa.
Mhm. Yeah.
Going back to World of Warcraft for a moment, Donna.
Mhm.
One of my favorite early moments of me playing was when you had the little abdominal snowman type character that followed you around and beat critters up for you. I can't remember what they called that thing, but I used to love it.
Good morning.
I
Your
remember.
furbolgs?
Good morning.
Good morning, Mike Jimmy.
Good morning. Oh, we're alive, supposedly.
No, this is Memorex.
Ah, okay.
So you got a driving exam?
Yeah, the theoretical one. So in the Netherlands, we have 2 parts.
The
It's not gonna be my
theoretical
first
and the
one.
Yeah.
practical.
We've got the written and the driving portion, so.
So, yeah, like this is gonna be the second one I'm doing in a pretty short time. Because last one I had 2 mistakes too many. God damn it. But yeah,
When
I've
somebody
been,
cuts you off in traffic, flipping him off and saying "get the f out of the way" is not the right way to do it. Okay,
I know, right? It's so weird.
I know.
You get
No, so
you get
that's
points
the
taken
American
away for
driving
shooting
test,
at folks.
not the European driving
No,
test.
you do it the polite way, like Marcy did in the Bon Voyage Charlie Brown animated movie.
No, honestly, I can drive fine, but I tried in 2016, which I did horribly at because I didn't like my driving instructor and I did not get along, and it was just a bad point in my life. And then in 2019, I tried again, and then COVID started. So we're back again.
Well,
Oh,
I wish you lots of luck. I don't think you're going to need it, but I wish you did.
I was surprised the last time I had to take a written test, they changed some stuff. I only missed one question, but it didn't apply to me anyway because it was something about having kids in your car. I'm like, I don't remember this.
My thing is, if I have kids in my car, either their parents are going to be telling me how I put them in there, or somebody else is putting them in there to make sure they're in there okay.
I come from an era where you just shove your kid in the car and take off.
Right. That's
Really,
what I mean.
That's even pre-duct tape.
I just figured you had a sign up in your car, Don, that said "must be this tall to ride."
Essentially, that's what it is. Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. I can hear you, Richie. Must be this tall to drive.
No, I was thinking about that's the sign that's next to Dan's bedpost. Must be this tall to ride.
Yeah.
I don't discriminate.
I'm down as my
insurance reasons.
I'm down as my best friend's backup to pick up her son from 5th. Yeah, he's in 5th grade. He'll be in 6th next year. We passed again. I say we because I help with the English. But Wyatt's not that tall. And even though he's 9 years old, because of his height, he still has to have a booster seat.
Yeah.
That is... And I'm like, I'm in trouble if they ever call me to come pick him up because I don't have one of those things. He's going to get strapped in and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
here, if you're
Misty almost qualifies for a booster seat.
Yeah, no. Under 4 foot 4, here in the Netherlands, you have to have a booster seat because otherwise you're going to be choked by the 3-point.
Safety harness.
Yeah.
Well, thank goodness I don't have to worry about that.
Me either.
I sometimes wonder how I passed my driving exam being dyslexic. We got started, everything was going fine. They told me to take a left turn. I turned right. And then they said, your other right would have been more to what we were saying.
Yeah,
And
but that's the
I
thing.
explained that, I don't have any tattoos to tell me which was my left hand or my right hand. So
that is a common mistake, though. Literally everyone makes that one. Like, go to your right, the other one. Don't worry about it.
I had the hardest time learning left to right because I'm left-handed, and where I went to school, they were like, "Okay, you're left and you're right." Whenever they were talking about the right, they would go, "The hand you write with," and I'd be like, "Oh wait, gotta do this one instead."
Yeah.
It was so. I mean, it was one of those things. I was already set up for failure on trying to figure that crap out.
Well, the weird thing was, I took the driver's ed course in school, and I had the good student discount as well. And this was, my parents made me wait an extra year so I could pass these classes and get my GPA up so that it would reduce the amount of insurance that my dad had to pay
Good
for
driver
me being
discount. Or
added.
good student discount.
Good student discount and driver's ed discount.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to take this huge percentage off of my dad's insurance policy for the cars. It took $5 off of the insurance policy. I looked at the bill myself. I'm going, I had to wait a year for $2.50 a piece on these two strenuous courses that probably I could have sleepwalked through, but no, I was conscientious and paid attention and did everything right.
I got to walk out of driver's ed. Mom drove me over to the DMV, passed my written, got my license. I didn't even have to take the practical.
Yeah, no.
With the,
you guys would be fucked in the Netherlands.
Oh yeah,
all of you.
Probably.
I had a 97% in the class for the final. So if we got 97%, or if you got better than 80% in our state, you didn't have to take the practical.
Okay, Mike. Which side of the road do you drive on? Which side of the car is the steering wheel on?
On the left side.
The correct side, not like the Brits.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't drive in England, although I have been driving for.
One, we have the most expensive driving lessons and exams in the world, because for some reason. And two, we are by far one of the most strict countries when it comes to driving. That's why we also create some of the most decent drivers in the world. Exceptions validate the rule, but I mean, if you're driving a BMW, you're not going to know where your turn signals are. We all know this, but
Really, I didn't realize that. I've been in somebody else's BMW, but I never noticed the turn signals were any different from a Nissan or a Ford or.
Well, apparently for the people that actually have a BMW, like they took them out, put them in at some point, and then they realized that people weren't using them anyway, so they took them out again. Because, dear Lord, here in the Netherlands, it is a problem with them.
I don't believe I could drive a car without turn signals.
That's Chicago traffic is.
I mean, I see people driving. I see people driving without turn signals, but You know, I use a turn signal when I'm backing up in my own damn driveway.
Yes.
Mhm.
No, it is just a common joke because a lot of taxi drivers have BMWs here, and they are not known to be nice drivers.
Most
Well-
taxi drivers aren't. They're not paid to drive nicely. They're paid to get you there fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they don't actually get you there fast because they need to pad the bill so that they can, make bank off of you.
Yes.
That is actually something that is illegal in the Netherlands. If you promise to bring someone from A to B, you bring them from A to B. If they find you malpracticing, you can get a fine and you can essentially lose your job.
Oh, hey, we need to slow down for this light. It's green. You can drive the speed limit to get to the light. Oh, look, it's red now.
Yeah.
All right.
not allowed.
Well, you can still go to the speed limit because by the time you get up to the actual light, it will be green again.
Not allowed. If they try it out here, they're just screwing themselves over. You drive from A to B, and most of them are, whatchamacallit?
Assholes.
Employed, anyway. Well, yes, that too.
When Lindsay and I were visiting England in 2010, 2011, she told me if we ever have to take a taxi, you don't say anything. Just let them hear my voice. If they hear an American accent, they're gonna mess with us and try and pad the bill.
Yep.
So what happens when we get in a taxi in southern England and have to go somewhere? She starts asking me questions. And it's after dark. She doesn't understand my dirty look saying, "You told me not to open my mouth." So I finally answered her. First thing that happens, taxi driver gets totally lost and goes, "Hey, I'm going to go over this way." And it's my wife's hometown in England. She jumped down his throat with both feet and a battle axe.
Atta girl.
Not only did we get where we were supposed to be at the price that the original trip would have taken, that taxi driver did not get a tip, and he did get reported.
Exactly.
Okay. Europe is, for the most part, a non-tipping area.
Mhm.
Or is that just restaurants, or does that include, like...
Well, taxi drivers the world over expect a tip, as far as I
no, they
know.
don't. Okay, so most places in Europe. Okay, first of all, we don't tax tips. We don't automatically tax tips like you do in America.
Yeah.
That being said, tipping is something you do out of goodwill, like actual goodwill. It's not that the restaurant's going to lose 10% just because you didn't tip them, which is absolutely idiotic.
You pay your folks a living wage.
Exactly. You pay them a living wage anyway.
Yep.
Anything that is tipped is
Above and beyond normal service.
yes. Like that is the quality of your food, that is the quality of the servants, etc., etc. As a mover, I got tipped pretty regularly. Royally sometimes, like literally people just dropping a 50 euro bill in my hand going, "Yeah, you did a great job," like all of you. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
but I'm not sharing it with the rest of the guys.
no.
You gave it to me.
We did, but like
Sorry,
you're
Olaf, you're out of luck, dude.
if you're going to work in an office for 3 weeks, right? Like you got a giant move to do, like you're stuck there for 3 weeks, and your colleagues are getting tips every day. It's not really unfair, really fair, is it? So we shared evenly depending on how much we worked. But like, yeah, it was all good work. You don't assume tip.
Carl and I both worked in restaurants. He was a manager. I worked my way through college as a waitress. So we tip according to how the service really is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And we also know the difference between whether a waitress is busy or whether she's slopping off.
Yeah.
That's the big thing there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Misty and I don't believe in tipping. We believe in over tipping, unless you're giving us crappy service. If you're giving us crappy service, you will get maybe 10%. We don't believe in not leaving a tip, but if you've given us okay service that it's just kind of lackluster, you'll get 20, maybe a little bit more. If you gave us pretty crappy service, it's only 10%. But if you gave us stellar service, we are going to give you anywhere between 25 and 50% and a heart attack. Because we'll be like, can we speak to your manager? And meanwhile, they're like, oh my God, what did we do? And then as soon as the manager comes out, it's like, all right, first off, before anything happens, relax. Nothing bad happened. We know usually when someone wants to talk to the manager, they're complaining, they want money off, whatever. We just wanted to let you know that your person did a terrific job. Coming from us, it's going to sound like, thank you for not spitting in our food. Coming from you, it's going to mean a hell of a lot more. When I was on the help desk, when the praise came from my actual boss instead of just the users, I felt better. So not that I'm saying, don't, congratulate and thank and stuff like that, the people that do great jobs. But, we believe in talking to the managers and saying, hey, they did an awesome job, and one lady, she broke down crying when we asked her to get the manager, not in front of us, but in back with the manager. And, we're like, she did an excellent job. We just wanted to thank you. She was just splendid, fantastic. Apparently, every other table she had that night was a fucking nightmare, and she was ready to crack.
Yeah.
So she thought we were adding on top of that. And then just the bright beaming smile that she gave the entire table when she swung back through, after the manager had a chance to go back and tell her, it was better than the meal, to brighten someone, to lift someone, because face it, it's a soul sucking job sometimes because of the Karens and the assholes and the people like, well, this coupon really should apply because of XYZ, and no, sorry, this is a different steakhouse. We don't accept Sizzler coupons here.
Yeah.
I overheard that conversation once in that same steakhouse. It's like, this is a Sizzler coupon that expired in 1993. We cannot take this. I'm exaggerating the year. I don't remember the year, but it was like more than a year out of date, and for Sizzler. And I'm like, really?
Yeah. Ted and I go to a lot of the things.
I have been known to go to, say, a Waffle House, buy a $7 breakfast, and tip $5.
Yep.
Ted and I, we go to a lot of the same places. And so the servers have gotten to know us. And there's certain places that we will say, instead of saying, do you want to go to this restaurant? We'll be like, hey, do you want to go see Alex? Hey, do you want to go see Glenn? Because we go to, and they have gotten to know us as customers, and they know that we tip them well, but we know that we get treated so well. And it's from starting to go in there, they treated us well, so we started tipping them well. Then you go back and forth, and and I think, like I said, it's funny when it's not, oh, I want to go to this restaurant. It's like, hey, let's go see blah blah blah.
Back when I was in college, we would
reciprocal behavior.
Yeah.
there was the science fiction club at the university, and we would go out to the same pizza place after meetings, and we'd have 15, 20 people, and then we would go down to their game room and play video games, and we usually got the same waitress every time, and it just happened to be one of the other artists who was a classmate of mine in a couple of my art classes. And 15, 20 people, there'd be complicated orders, this person buying this person buying that, this had to be split up, these bills, this that and the other thing. They would not only get extremely good tips for a single person ordering part of a pizza and whatever drinks they got, but they would collect the little napkin art that we would do and save it for us, to where the guy that was in charge of the group would save these things and not scan them, because computers were not a thing at that time, but Xerox them and put them in like a calendar or whatever of our little artwork. And the lady, the one girl that was one of my art classmates, who was a waitress there regularly, not only did she get a raise for dealing with this huge party of outrageously loud and eventually drunken science fiction geeks, her tips enabled her to buy, in 3 months, a $150 leather jacket in the 1970s.
Wow.
Nice. So
yes, they were glad to see us come in. They were very happy when we left, because we were loud. We would close out the entire, and God help me, in the game room, we would take the place over. They had an air hockey table. We played ninja air hockey with sound effects.
So back in the day, we had 4 servers every Tuesday night that would make sure no one would sit in a specific booth, and they would fight with each other on who got that area Tuesday night. Me and 2 of my best friends from high school, after we were well above drinking age, would come in. We'd pay for our meal and stuff like that. We'd do a $50 tip off of a couple of burgers and a couple of appetizers. And the reason they would fight over us is because, one, it's a couple of burgers, a couple of appetizers in the mid-90s. Wasn't that expensive, so that was a fairly pricey tip. But we also tipped stupidly as we drank the rest of the night. We would maybe pay for $100 worth of alcohol between the three of us and easily drink 300 because not only are the wait staff bringing us free drinks because we tip so well, the bartender would come over and be like, hey, this is a new recipe. I want to try it out. How do you like it? Oh, we were lit when we left. And then from there, we would go across the highway to a sports bar that had dollar Long Islands.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Okay, I gotta hop.
Only on Tuesdays.
I will talk to you guys.
Good
Maybe
Good
sometime.
night.
night, or good morning, Jimmy, or
Good
whatever,
luck.
Mike Jimmy.
I'm doing my best.
Good luck, brother.
Best of luck.
We'll see what happens. Take it easy, guys.
Fingers crossed.
Take it back.
Good night.
Well,
Or in his case, good morning.
That's why I think
morning.
about it.
It's only like it's almost 7 over there. I'd say at least 3 of you in the room are probably too young to remember Ann Landers.
Yep.
But
And Abby.
she gave advice one time that's always stuck with me. If your waitress is bad, don't not leave a tip because she's only going to assume you forgot. And her advice at that time was leave a penny.
Ooh, that's harsh.
These days,
You would be chased out of the restaurant, and you stupid, no good mother, why'd you? Yeah.
these days, I've translated it to 2 singles. If you're not good wait staff to me. My friend April and I we try weekly to go to breakfast. We do 5 different restaurants around town. And we're usually there from 8:30 to 11:30. And they don't mind because for one thing, we leave when they start getting busy for lunch. But when we leave, they've got a really nice tip because they've made sure we've got drinks while we're there. And yeah, most of these people know us by our first names because we go there every 5th time.
We had a manager at Baker Square that loathed us with a passion because my best friend and I would take up a booth for a good majority of the night. And we would have a meal. He'd have coffee, and then he would just have free refills on the coffee. Coffee and I don't get along. I'd have a soda and have the free refills on the soda. And then a couple hours later, we'd order our pie and stuff like that. And he was like, we can't have this, blah, 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 no blah. And the waitresses were like, they tip us more than any 7 seats that would go into that spot. We're not kicking them out.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon Trail is becoming a movie.
We're all gonna die of dysentery.
I don't have anything against Terry. Why should I diss him?
And with me, I
Because
can't have
the van stops.
because there's so many things that I can't eat with like the tomatoes and the citrus and all that. So especially when we go to like I was saying, we go to see Alex or see Glenn, like there won't be like I can't remember what you can't have, which is fine by me because I take it more like going. They go have so many customers, they're not going to remember my stuff, but the fact that they
Crohn's?
remember, I know there's something you can't have. What?
Yeah.
Crohn's?
There's so many things that.
What's the matter, Rich?
Fizz?
I was asking Dawn if she has Crohn's.
Oh.
No, it's my bladder thing.
Okay.
So I can't have tomatoes, and yeah, it'll irritate my bladder and
The acid?
yeah, yep. But it's like I don't get. They're like, oh, I can't remember that. I'm so sorry, and I was like, I'm more excited the fact that you remembered that there's something I can't have.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more respectful for that. And then the one place we go where Glenn works, he always gives us a bowl of soup to bring home to Ted's mom.
That's nice.
You
Um,
know, he'll be like, hey, then when, a couple of times we're doing that, we would, bring home soup for his mom. And he was like, you guys want me, and whenever we're getting ready to leave, he's like, oh, you need the use. It's like, okay, cool. And it's neat. It's nice going into places and
Yeah.
getting served like that.
Yeah.
There's one restaurant who, although it's 8:30 in the morning, people would get chicken Alfredo. There's another restaurant, the one we went to just this week, where they have she says the best biscuits and gravy. I don't eat them, but she's had her gallbladder out, but she's got that lactose intolerance thing now that it's gone. So it's my duty as her best friend when she orders either one of those to go, are you sure? Because she's going to be in the bathroom even before we leave the restaurant. At least twice. And she says, yes, that's what I'm having. And I said, okay, I've done my duty.
Unless
And
she
she's going to
understands
go
that.
do hers.
Yep. Oh, we have a new place in town. There's this Mexican restaurant, supposedly, in where
Do they have a lot of parking spaces?
Yeah. Where this hamburger place used to be. And she told me the other day that they've decided to serve breakfast in there. And I'm like, they've posted up the menu, and I'm like, well, I'll try anything once. It's not going to be El Toro, but hey, I'll try it once.
Reader's Digest once published the best restaurant server reaction to a cheapskate leaving them a penny as a tip. And basically, the server had to be there to see that it was a penny before they got out of earshot and left the restaurant. And it pretty much devolved into, oh my God, a 1911 rare reversed penny double stamp. This is worth $250,000. Thank you so much. Just and the sarcasm would go way over somebody else's head, but basically, I as a writer, I could see you go through this routine, and somebody coming back going, hey, here's a different penny. Let me have that one back. And that would not go over well either.
Yep.
Especially when it was one that was not a rare penny whatsoever. It was just some run-of-the-mill thing. You just had to bullshit your way through it just for the insult value.
Well, as I say, having been a waitress, if I deemed you only got that couple of singles instead of a 5 or 10 or whatever, better not come to me and complain. I better not hear you complain about that, because I will go back and say, hey, if you'd have been a better waitress, you'd have gotten better money.
And that's
and don't tell me you were busy, because I was where I have done what you've done.
That's the other thing too. We went into a restaurant one time, and we got sat, and we're sitting there waiting, and another table got sat behind us, and they got served, and we're still sitting there waiting. All of a sudden, this little tiny thing comes just flying out of the kitchen, comes running over. She's like, I am so sorry. She goes, I did not mean to make you wait. I wasn't even in the building when they sat you. They put us in her section before she was even on. And we're like, it's okay. You could just tell she was just panicked. And it was like, it's okay. It is what it is.
Yeah.
We were frustrated, obviously. I mean, we would be, waiting and waiting. But she's like, she, put a rush on our food, and she gave us free sodas, and she was so sweet. And we gave her a really, really good tip,
Well,
because it was like, that was
the
the hostess's
hostess's
fault.
Mhm.
Yeah. But you
Yeah.
could just tell that she just had that look of, oh, this is not the way I want to start my day. I'm going to get screamed at. And we're like, you made up for it. It was, number one, you made up for somebody else's screw up.
Screw up, yeah.
So,
Well, it might not have been a screw up. It might have been somebody messing with her.
well, because
Yeah.
we got there, it was like 20 after, and she didn't come on until 30 past. So it was like, yeah. So we don't know what but we're like, that's not your fault. You're fixing somebody else's, I guess, whether it's a screw up or whatever. We're not going to put that on her. But I still remember watching her run out of that door swinging open and her flying. But, she's like, she gave us like a free appetizer and all this. And I'm like, okay, Ted, when we go to tip her out, we need to add the appetizer in there, the free drinks and all this stuff, and base our her tip off of all of that, because that's part of her tip.
Uh-huh. Yep. There are people that will do above and beyond what the job calls for. There are people that will do the bare minimum that the job calls for.
Mm-hmm.
I am a lazy
Learning
tipper.
which is which and acting appropriately is one of those things that it takes a while to actually figure it out and react accordingly. And it's not an easy thing to be wait staff or server at a
Especially
restaurant.
in today's climate.
Oh yeah,
where
especially in today's climate where
because
everybody feels like they're entitled.
they need everything right this second. Nobody
Yeah.
waits anymore or anything.
There's
like
no patience, no understanding, and no
I'm a lazy tipper. I round to
consideration.
the nearest dollar up, and then I base the tip off that, and then I round that up.
Well,
We
I don't want
figure
to.
out the 10%, and then we double it, and then we round it up a few dollars.
Mhm.
I don't want to brag on myself, but there's nobody else here that can. When I was waiting tables, I was getting folding money at a time when most people left change for chips.
Yeah,
So you were good at your job.
Yeah, really.
my mom worked for years at the fancy schmancy restaurant, and the best though, as a server, there was a guy that whistled at her once. She walked over, and like I said, this was the fancy schmancy restaurant, and she walked over and she was like, looked at him and goes, and it was him and his wife. I am not a dog. You will not whistle at me. You will say, excuse me, and you will treat me with respect. And I guess the wife looked at him and goes, I told you one of these days, when we're going to tell you off. They left her a good tip. My mom still remembers that they left her a damn good tip.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the wife insisted on that.
Mhm.
The
gotta
funny
make up.
thing is when they look at you and are like, yeah, they're not expecting a good tip, but they give you a fairly decent service and you wind up giving them a better tip than they expected. The look on their face is always fun to see.
Oh,
Yeah.
my worst moment, I was working at Pizza Hut, had a party of teenagers come in, about a dozen of them,
Mm-hmm.
and I was passing out drinks, and without noticing, my hand tipped, and I poured Pepsi on this one girl's head, and I was mortified. Helped her clean up, and I'm like, okay, number one, they're teenagers. Number two, I poured Pepsi on her. I'm not getting crap out of that table. Still gave them my usual service. Those sweet things left me $15 for a tip that night.
Aw, that's
Uh,
cool.
that was so, especially after I had done that. That was so nice of them.
Right.
Because usually you get teenagers in, you're lucky to get anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We tipped well as teenagers, but we're also like, they maybe should talk to us.
We went to a pizza place. We screwed up on
Sorry,
Christmas
Donna.
Eve one. We screwed up on Christmas Eve one night and 1 year, and we didn't have anything for dinner, so we were like, well, let's go find some place. We ended up finding a pizza place that was open. So we're sitting there, we're eating, and it's skeleton crew, and we're the only table left there. The server's sitting there chatting with us. We're like, well, we don't have kids, and blah blah blah. And she's like, yeah, I'm working tonight because we're like, why don't you sit down? She sat there. She ate while we were eating our pizza. She sat there and talked with us the entire time. Just like, you know what? I really was not looking forward to working Christmas Eve, but having you guys here tonight, that was pretty cool.
That's nice.
Nick's nephew, George. He was insistent that we would always go to Hooters to watch wrestling and football. I wasn't really interested in football, so I never joined them for the football nights, but I joined them for the wrestling because I really enjoyed the storylines. Some really good writing in wrestling. But
especially when they kicked Lita's baby.
We had so many other patrons pissed at us because the waitresses would actually sit and talk with us. Not sit and talk with us like they often do. We would have half the restaurant sitting around our tables just bullshitting with us because we're not sitting there going, booties. We're like, hey, how's it going? How'd your test go last week? And just looking at the screen, but engaging them. And I mean, we were still good tippers,
Yeah.
But the people that weren't waiting on us were still sitting down, bullshitting with us, and then running off to do stuff. And how do you do that? We treat them like people.
Being nice.
We treat them like people.
Mm-hmm. Not just the whole time.
At Pizza Hut, I had a guy come in with 3 young men. Put it that way. Sat down and ordered a pitcher of beer with their pizza. And I'm looking at these 3 with him, and I'm like, I need to see IDs. Only the one guy had an ID. What about the 3 of you? Oh, we don't have it with us. So, okay. You're not getting any beer because I'm pretty sure you're not 21. And the older man got a little irate and asked to see the manager. Well, first of all, he says, I still want a pitcher of beer. You can bring them. And I'm like, I will serve you a pitcher of beer a glass at a time. Because I'm not bringing a pitcher of beer to this table with these 3 teenagers here and risk you giving it to them. So he says, I want to talk to the manager. Well, the manager wasn't there, but the assistant manager was there, and he was a real kiss ass. So he comes over and he says, what's the trouble giving them beer? And I'm like, nope, these 3 are underage. If they were 21, they would have their IDs with them to prove it. And he says, give them the beer. And I said, I am not going to give them the beer. You can give them the beer, and the minute that beer hits the table, I'm calling the cops. And he kind of looked at me a moment, and I'm like, I will. So the guy changed his order to just a Bugbear for himself and 3 soft drinks for the kids. I'm not taking that responsibility.
Yeah, really. Sometimes you got to play hardball.
Yeah. I miss
And
Pizza Hut.
I'm afraid on that note.
Oh, it's 12 after 12.
Yep.
Oh crap!
He's gonna on the word hardball. He is going to go ahead and call it. Okay.
Yeah, well, I do have to get up at 6 a.m. and is already
Yeah.
He's got to find parking space at the
1:05.
taco place.
Where you are.
Yep.
Do you play hardball
So,
at the taco place too?
No, you just eat.
Really?
Mm,
Don't knock it till you tried it. Oh.
You know, I almost had a taco salad tonight with Michaela.
Oh, did you want your salad toast?
Oh my. Okay. Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night,
Good night,
everybody.
Gracie.
Good night, everybody. Hey, if I don't see you in the green room tomorrow night, it's your fault because I may actually be awake. Briefly. It's been a rough week. Everybody else, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching us either live or on the replay. And like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. It doesn't matter. It's not like I'm looking to get monetized. And, really, with my sense of humor, you think anybody's going to pay me? No. Now these folks, they deserve getting a check, but not me. Thank you for coming tonight, or however you reacted, and we will see you on the flip side.
Go get.
Transmission overload. System will shut down. shut down. System will shut down.